John McEnroe, another artist, his racket a paintbrush, to court McEnroe's canvas for a dazzling game that's earned him 17 Grand Slam championships. Bjorn, Borg, the legendary Swede, a tennis icon for decades. Calm, cool, and still capable of coming up with the goods that made him the world's best.
He means a lot to me because he was the first guy who really took me under his wing and accepted me and showed me respect. And when you're 19 and you're sort of working your way up the ladder, it's pretty dog-eat-dog out there. And to have the best guy in the world do that was an unbelievable boost. Not just for my confidence, because I was confident already, but just as feeling like I belonged and that a veteran was allowing me into this small circle. And then I could shut some other people up that were giving me a hard time, because if Bjorn Borg was behind me, it was like the hell with everyone else.
And still very much electrifying atmosphere here at the Venetian Macao. The organisers obviously trying to get this these tennis events more and more exciting for the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is a one tie-break set. Bjorn Borg won a toss and elected to serve. Please be seated. Ready? Play. Fifteen love.
That was a fantastic topspin forehand by Borg.
Already we see McEnroe, I think, a little in jest, but complaining a little bit about a line call, shaking his head. And that's what the crowd has come to see. But this indoor court surface, especially laid down for this event, with this arena is a multi-purpose arena. Fans lucky enough to come here last year. We had a great matchup with Federer versus Sampras.
30-15.
And they have all sorts of events here at the Venetian Macao. They have they have NBA events, rock concerts, you name it, they've got it. Fault caught in Bjorn Borg having a little look, but as we all know,
(40-15).
Oh, and a very great gesture from John McEnroe, overruling it.
That is unusual of him.
I think he's mellowing out, Andrew, over the years.
He has changed quite a bit.
Ball boy.
But he's still a showman.
Ball. Ball girl.
And what is he going to do now? Actually, McEnroe was a ball boy when Borg first played in the U.S. Open. So.
Game ball, first game.
Oh.
15 love.
Oh, that's vintage McEnroe just there.
Just got incredible hands close to the net.
There you are, McEnroe at the age of 48, still very athletic, agile. So a couple of unforced errors early on. These two guys taking a little bit of time to get used to. This court actually pretty fast. It's an indoor rubber surface, which in actual fact should suit John McEnroe
30-15.
with his natural serve and volley game. This quick surface, playing similarly to grass.
And of course, we remember all the great rivalries in Wimbledon. Playing finals, I think they play at least 3 times. 79, 80, and 81. With McEnroe winning the last one, with Borg winning the first 2.
That's a fantastic pass, as we see here on the action replay. Borg on the run. Press for time, just a short backswing. Meeting the ball still out in front. Beautiful cross-court pass.
Borg. Game, McEnroe, 1 game all. Balls down, balls to my left.
So both players on the board now. That should ease some nerves. Often very difficult for these players to come out. I mean, it's an exhibition match, so they haven't had time to get to play into this tournament. They just arrived, and it's only a 1-set match, so it can happen all pretty quick.
Ooh.
15 love.
Ball coming to the net, and if everyone can remember from their past matches at Wimbledon, Borg, known for his, he was one of the earlier players to start to use heavy topspin on the forehand and backhand side, double-handed backhand.
30 love.
But he very often did come to the net, particularly in Wimbledon, and that's what gave him those 5 titles. 5 titles in a row, which was finally matched by Roger Federer. Nice shot down the line from Bjorn Borg after a couple of rallies up and down the middle. Borg finally taking the chance.
Ball here, pick up the
Borg kids just as rusty as these players.
Borg showing some good all-court play in this game. got 2 volley winners.
Yeah, obviously a sign of a good player. Got the short ball, knows to make the approach and follow it in. And particularly on this fast court surface, paying dividends as we see another slow motion action of John McEnroe. Very light on his feet. Very effortless in the way he plays. We see that shot. So, games on serve. Bjorn Borg leading 2 games to 1. Just as a reminder, this is just a 1-set match. First to 6 games wins, with the game difference of at least 2 games. So Andrew, we're with Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe, arguably, well, one of the best rivalries in tennis to date.
Sure, I think, I'm thinking the last 3 great tennis rivalries, you got to think Borg and McEnroe, and then probably Sampras and Agassi, and then now Federer against Nadal. Definitely in the last 20, 30 years. I would think these are the 3 greatest tennis rivalries. And it's great we can see one of them tonight. Unfortunately, Nadal won't be here because of injuries. He was scheduled to play against Federer. He will actually miss the Davis Cup tie this weekend against Argentina because of a very long season.
15 love.
Federer's back is also aching, so the top players are all hurting by this time of the year. I think it's great that Federer still makes a trip to Macao and then and will show us his stuff tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have to question the length of the season and the toughness, especially for the top players. Another great serve from McEnroe. Jamming up Borg that time, no place to swing. Yeah, the tour is really demanding. There's not really an off-season for the players, and particularly if you're one of the top players in the world, you're getting to the semis and the finals consistently every week in, week out. There's really no downtime or rest time.
40.
And it's starting to show on the top 2 players in the world.
I think 2 years ago, Federer had a record of 81 wins and 5 losses. He played 86 matches. That's a lot in 1 year.
Well, you don't see that happen too often. John McEnroe missing an easy high forehand volley. Winner of 9 Grand Slam doubles titles.
Mostly with Peter Fleming.
Yeah, Peter Fleming quoting long ago, the best doubles pair in the world would be John McEnroe and anybody else.
Well, McEnroe won a title last year with Borgman at the age of 49 in San Jose. Which I think that's incredible. 49-year winning ATP title.
Yeah, I think John McEnroe at that time had something to prove. He was a little bit disappointed a couple of years ago the way the state of American tennis was and the way tennis was going as well. All power and nothing else. He mentioned that even as an old guy, he could get out there and his talent still pick up titles and then give the young guys a run for their money. Back in 2006 with Bjorn, like you said.
It's funny now we're looking at Borg playing with a graphite racket. Of course, we remember he won all his slams with his wind racket. Actually, he tried coming back in the early 90s playing with his wind racket, and of course that wasn't going enough against much more powerful graphite rackets.
Yeah, I think he tried. Bjorn Borg tried 2 comebacks without success. partly due to the racket, but I mean, once you're off the tour for a while, you've lost that edge, and obviously tennis being a young man's sport, you're just giving away too much in fitness and speed and strength. You see these guys now, they still obviously have the talent with racket work, the placement, but moving quite a bit slower.
30 all.
And hitting the ball quite a bit slower too. And we'll see the difference once later on Roger Federer and James Lake come out. So 2 all, 30 all. Second serve for Bjorn Borg. Shot from John McEnroe, just a little bit too slow. Ball sitting up nicely for Bjorn Borg. Gesture from McEnroe. The first attempt on that smash return was a double bounce, so he conceded the point. So Borg obviously felt that his time was up and McEnroe was the new kid on the block. So it was a shame that he pulled the plug on his career that early. It would be nice to see him at least challenge McEnroe and make it more interesting, and then shows you the type of player McEnroe is. So we see this next point, go left. I mean, McEnroe is a true champion. He understands that the titles that he wins is only as good as the opponents that he beats. So he knew Borg was, you know, one of the best players at that time. So for him to be around and for McEnroe to beat him and be the number one, he'd be more justified than if Borg was not around.
I would say, you know, Sampras wouldn't be the same player if it weren't for Agassi pushing him all those years. And now Federer has a challenge from Nadal, you know, trying to beat him on clay, try to win that French Open with his big nemesis beating him the last 3 years in the French Open. So, you know, rivalries push these players to another level.
John McEnroe serving at 40 love. See that trademark almost totally back to the opponent service stance.
Yeah,
John McEnroe very unique in many ways. Obviously his personality and his tantrums have made a name for himself, but obviously his service stance, as well as the way he holds the racket, very sort of almost limp-wristed and pushing with the shots, not really muscling the shots through like many of the other players do. Good second serve from Borg. Second serve down, love 15, and 3 all. Last thing you want to be down is love 30 at this business time, business end of the set.
15-30.
serve by Borg. A little bit of heat on that one.
That was a great slice serve to the back, McEnroe's backhand.
Well, it seems like after that double fault, Borg really decided to get his act together. 3-all, 15-30.
I think the slice serve really works well on this service.
Yeah, you see on the replay there, the ball, once it was well placed in the corner, but once it bounced, it really took away.
Really got the crowd going.
See on the replay here, great rally. This one down line, looking it was going out until it hit the net. McEnroe quick with the reaction there. The ball going back behind John McEnroe. The reverse angle on the replay there, the tennis tour. The Australian Open used to be run in December.
When Borg was winning all his titles in Wimbledon and French Open, for those 5-6 years, he did not go down to Australia. You know, if he were to play those events, he could have got maybe 3 or 4 more. And then that would put him on par with Sampras, or maybe even more than that. So Federer could be chasing Borg, not Sampras. For most Grand Slam victories. 15-all. But anyway, I think Borg did the hardest double in tennis. You know, back-to-back wins in French Open and Wimbledon. I think that's the hardest to do because, you know, you need have a lot of patience to win on French Open, and you still have good net play. You need good net play to win in Wimbledon. So actually, Nadal is the first player, I think, since Borg to have won both French Open and Wimbledon in the same year. And Borg did it 5 times.
So McEnroe, a couple of good serves, piece out wide last time. Let's see where he goes this time. Mixed it up. Went down the centre, but Borg was onto it. A little unlucky to send it long. But at this top level of tennis, sometimes you really do have to have a bit of a guess, choose a side. Hopefully you guess right and you connect well. It's too hard just to sit and wait for the ball to come before you make up your mind where to go.
Game, McEnroe, 4 games over.
I would say this is about Borg's game. I think he's way ahead of his era in terms of the physical side of the game. Before Nadal is really Borg. He's just physically more dominant than everyone else in his era. He could play so many shots on the baseline. Eventually, it wears opponents out, and no one is as fit as him at the time. And he played with heavy topspin, which was unusual back in those days. Think about McEnroe's game. Connor's game, Healy and Stasi, much more continental classical game. Borg suddenly came to the scene with this pretty healthy topspin there on both wings.
15 all.
Well, he is definitely ahead of the era.
Yeah, definitely a pioneer of sorts. Great serve down the tee. So things heating up here now. 4 games all.
40-15.
Always going to challenge this.
There in the hot seat. Swing on that serve.
15
I was watching Federer warming up his serves earlier, and really, the ball really skids off.
Well, it's very deceptive watching on TV up here. You see it quite clearly, and the court is actually, well, it's an artificial surface laid down especially for this event. It's very flat, so there's no problems with the surface itself. But when you saw it fall, is it over? It's been called out. It looked pretty good up here.
It's too bad we don't have Hawkeye here. Otherwise, McEnroe would be a happier man.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he may not have got as much publicity or gone as far if they had Hawkeye back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, going back to that first point, McEnroe served and volley. The ball really didn't die, but it skidded, and his surface is very quick. Borg had trouble catching the bounce. Shows you how much work McEnroe puts on the volley. Punches it forwards, gets a little bit of underspin, really shoots off the surface. To make it very effective on a faster surface like this or like grass at the moment.
15-30.
Ball being troubled with that backhand return today.
Now he has a real opening. He's 2 points away from the set. McEnroe has to be really careful with this serve coming up. Here we go. Comes into the fix. The slice. That's really effective on the surface.
Great reverse angle replay there, showing you the ball moving away. Really turning it on now.
40-30.
Fantastic service motion. Still got the accuracy, pinpoint accuracy. 3 aces in a row. Still could happen. Second serve, let's see if he goes for it. Not looking ace somebody 3 times in a row.
Game, McEnroe. 5 games all.
Great for the fans. Going the distance.
Seats quickly, please. Thank you.
This is why the crowd love McEnroe so much. It really interacts with them.
two players have contrasting styles on the court with the demeanor. Borg is also called Ice Borg because of his calm demeanor. And, of course, we know about McEnroe.
Well, that's what rivalries are made of. You don't want two peer players the same. You need them to be different to feed off each other and for people to root for one rather than another. As you mentioned, these two guys completely different.
Surprisingly, McEnroe really kept his cool every time he played against Borg. So that's unusual. That may be just a respect factor.
Crowd now. Triple break point. Just showing his age now, trying to catch his breath. Probably a good tactic, drop shots for players of this generation and age. Obviously the legs not as young as they used to be. McEnroe just missing on this occasion. With disguise, looking like he was going to hit a top spin line.
Great tee serve by Borg. Got one break point back. Borg loved that backhand down the line. He hit about 3 or 4 already today. Definitely one of his trademark shots.
You always feel a little worried with McEnroe's forehand. Not much topspin on it. More of a push than anything else.
It's a pretty flat push.
It just shows you how talented he is, because we all know these days, to get the accuracy, you really need more and more topspin. So for the amount of lack of topspin that McEnroe actually has on his forehand, the amount of times he can get that ball right on is absolutely amazing. Borg showing some camera as well. We didn't see it on TV, we might see the replay. After getting this net cord, Borg came up to the net. And kissed the net. And McEnroe went up and smashed it with his racket. And missed the viewers at home, they missed a few of those things there. Shows you, oh, here we go. Really changed the pace on that last one. Took it early, stepping in. did the right thing. He really took advantage of the second serve. He saw the opportunity and came in. Well, after a bit of a struggle, Bjorn Borg from love 40 comes back, and after a couple of juice points, wins the game and goes ahead 6-5 in this one-set match. Ranks up there as one of the best ever.
When McEnroe was just starting on the tour, Borg was really one of the older veteran players that took him under his wing. Really guided him to show him that he belongs, you know.
Well, it just shows you
his ability.
The type of player, the type of person Bjorn Borg is to do that, because it's such an individual sport, tennis is, and the last thing you want to do is encourage somebody else that could be your next opponent in a Grand Slam final that you're fighting for. Obviously, that's what the players like Jimmy Connors and the like definitely give John McEnroe a hard time, and really didn't want to make him feel comfortable at all. Whereas Borg sort of embraced the situation that there was a new kid on the block. Second serve. I just thought, you know, one of the two ways to go about it. You can either shut him out or invite him into that circle of greats, feed off each other. And that's really good for the sport.
I think to a certain extent, Federer is doing some of what Borg used to do, is to take the young players under his wing and just tell them, you know, what it takes to become a top player. I think it's great to see. It's great for tennis, you know, to have these leaders. Not just great tennis players, but also guys that are devoted to the sport and want to, you know, make it, you know, make the game grow beyond after the retirement. I'm not saying Federer is going to retire anytime soon, but he's doing a lot of. As you have said, it really is a dog-eat-dog, you know, tennis world. It's an individual sport, but there's some good locker room spirit, you know, on the tour. I think Federer would be a good one to show everyone this is the way it should be done.
6 games all to a tie break.
1-0 Borg.
McEnroe unlucky there, and Borg on the run. Just pulling that backhand a little long. First player to reach 7 points will win this set. Subsequently the match.
Miss a couple of drop shots. That could be pivotal to this, the outcome of this set.
I think he would have had Borg this time as well, coming in, ready for the short ball attack, and then drop it short, catching the tape yet again. It's twice, as you mentioned. 2 attempted drop shots short. Oh, big return.
That was an easy shot.
Both players now really working harder. close out this match.
4-love, 4-0.
Early on this set, I feel the players just serving at a 70% effort, but now they feel it, hear it. Guys go for a bit more.
5-0.
So we mentioned earlier, this is stop 2 of a 3-stop tour for these players. 2 days ago, they were in Malaysia, where John McEnroe actually beat Bjorn Borg in a tie-break. At the moment now, Borg leading 5 to love. Race first to 7.
Now, of course, the tiebreak we remember them playing was the 1980 Wimbledon final, when McEnroe won that 4th set tiebreak 18-16. But subsequently, Borg came back and won the 5th set for his 5th Wimbledon title. That was considered the best tiebreak of all time.
You have to say 5 match points, 6 set points on for yourself as well. Every second point is just that dramatic. McEnroe, as you mentioned, won that tiebreak 18-16. Credit to Borg, kept his cool, came back to win the 5th. The crowd's ready. So the stadium really filling up now. Some of these latecomers coming probably at the wrong time. This is the end of this match. McEnroe down 6 points to love. Saves one with an H. John McEnroe raises his hands and says, "Nobody beats me 7 points in a row." Spectators to sit down. All in for fun. A super tiebreak, which is first to 10 points, which was the format of the one in Malaysia, so obviously they were not briefed.
So Bjorn Borg takes the match 7-2 in the tiebreaker. Coming up, we'll hear from the players as our coverage of the Venetian Macao Tennis Showdown continues on Tennis Channel.
John, so many times over the many years.
Brian Weber back with you. Bjorn Borg gets some payback in Macau after John McEnroe was victorious in Kuala Lumpur. Now let's hear from the players.
How is it to play against him today? Do you still get a buzz?
Well, every time I play John, it's a special moment. You know, we had such a great rivalry over the years. Like I said, we've been playing quite a few matches on the senior tour, and it's always a great honor to play John, because it brings back great memories. And you know, so every match I play, you know, I really enjoy it playing against John. And I enjoyed the match today, and we're going to play many more matches, me and John. So it's great to play John, and thanks for people coming out and watch the tennis. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bjorn Borg. John, you and Bjorn clearly seem to have an enormous fan base here in Asia and around the world. How was it to play him in front of such a fantastic crowd here in Macau tonight?
Well, they had a lot of energy, which is good. So, you know, I thought I had him at 5-all, I had 40 love, and I was in the driver's seat, but he hit some great shots, and then, you know, basically came down to one tiebreaker. Anything can happen, and maybe next time, maybe if we ever come back.
That would be wonderful. I'm sure everyone would love to see you back here in Macau. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary John McEnroe.
Coming up, we'll shift from the legends of the past to the stars of today. Roger Federer takes on James Blake in the Venetian Macau Tennis Showdown.